Senate 216, an act to amend the Save Our Seas 2.0 Act to improve the administration of the Marine Debris Foundation, to amend the Marine Debris Act to improve the administration of the Marine Debris Program of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and for other purposes.
Pursuant to the rule, the gentleman from South Dakota, Mr. Johnson, and the gentleman from Alabama, Mr. Figures, each will control 20 minutes. The chair recognizes a gentleman from South Dakota.
Mr. Speaker, I ask for unanimous consent that members have 5 legislative days in which to revise and extend their remarks and insert extraneous material into the record on this bill.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, I yield myself as much time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Save Our Seas 2.0 Amendment Act continues important work that began last Congress and the 118th Congress to protect and preserve the quality of our oceans from marine debris. This bill will enhance the capabilities of NOAA to address the adverse impacts of marine debris on the U.S. economy and navigational safety, but it will not impose any new mandates on industry or local government. This bill also clarifies the proper functioning of the Marine Debris Foundation and requires it to establish its principal office here in Washington, D.C., or in a shoreline coastal community. Mr. Speaker, I ask my colleagues to support this legislation, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman from South Dakota reserves. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Alabama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield myself as much time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
I too rise in support of S-216, the Save Our Seas 2.0 Amendments Act. But before I express support for that, I want to associate myself with the comments of my colleagues for the previous resolution condemning the violence against the members of the National Guard from West Virginia and condemning that horrific act that took the life of Army Specialist Sarah Beckstrom and has left gravely injured Air Force Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf. As it relates to the Save Our Seas Act, this bill will improve administration of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's Marine Debris Program and the Marine Debris Foundation so it can respond more effectively to the growing threats facing our coastal regions, of which I represent one in Mobile, Alabama. Each year, more than 11 million tons of plastic debris enters the oceans, endangering the livelihood of communities, small businesses, fishermen, and our food chain that rely on healthy waterways. Along Alabama's coastal communities, we understand how critically important reliable waterways are. This legislation takes practical steps to support the federal programs responsible for removing debris and protecting the safety and resilience of our coastal communities. The bill improves NOAA's marine debris program by giving the agency clearer authority to use new and existing tools to address pollution more effectively and allowing NOAA to work faster and in closer partnership with state and local governments, as well as tribal nations, nonprofits, and regional organizations. The bill requires the Marine Debris Foundation to develop and implement best practices for engaging with tribal governments to ensure that they are included in the programs and funding designed to protect the water resources. Finally, this legislation extends vital funding for marine debris removal efforts through 2029. It keeps programs running, supports long-term planning, and gives communities confidence that federal partners are committed to protecting our waters and natural resources. I am proud to support my colleagues who have worked on this important bipartisan legislation both here in the House as well as the Senate, and I look forward to seeing it passed into law. Thank you, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman from Alabama reserves. The gentleman from South Dakota is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I have no further speakers. I'm prepared to close, and I reserve.
Gentleman reserves. Gentleman from Alabama.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to yield 4 minutes to the representative from Oregon, Mrs. Bonamici.
Lady from Oregon is recognized for 4 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Representative Figures, for yielding. As the co-chair of the Bipartisan Oceans Caucus, I rise enthusiastically today in support of S-216, the Senate companion to my bipartisan legislation, the Save Our Seas 2.0 Amendments Act. Marine debris does not stay in one place. A plastic bottle tossed inland can end up hundreds of miles away, wrapped around a propeller, tangled in fishing gear, or broken down into microplastics that end up in the food we eat. Across the country, communities see the damage every day. In the Pacific Northwest, crews use Marine Debris Program grants to remove abandoned and derelict vessels, rusting tankers that leak fuel, collapse into waterways, and scatter debris with every storm. These removals protect ports, safeguard workers, and prevent thousands of pounds of plastic and fiberglass from entering the ocean. In Alaska and the Gulf Coast, the program targets ghost fishing gear, including abandoned nets and traps. One abandoned net can trap fish, seabirds, and marine mammals for decades. Through this program, local partners recover that gear, return usable materials to fishers and anglers, and stop the cycle of loss. And in the Great Lakes, communities use these funds to intercept plastic before it reaches open water, cleaning up shorelines, restoring habitats, and keeping microplastics out of the drinking water systems that serve millions of people. This program doesn't stop at cleanup. It fuels economies and strengthens resilience. Since its creation in 2006, the Marine Debris Program has removed more than 36 metric tons of debris. According to NOAA, last year, the program's removal projects drove more than $474 million in tourism and $248 million in recreational value in just the 4 states in which it operates. The Marine Debris Program supports research and innovation that addresses microplastics and microfibers, the invisible pollution shed from tires, textiles, and everyday products. These particles show up in ocean sediments, in seafood, and even in human bloodstreams. This program helps scientists track them, understand them, and stop them at the source. The Save Our Seas 2.0 Amendments Act reauthorizes the Marine Debris Program so communities can keep doing this important work. It also makes targeted, responsible administrative fixes to the Marine Debris Foundation so the public-private partnerships deliver results faster and more effectively. The Senate passed this bipartisan bill unanimously earlier this year, and today Congress can send it to the President's desk. We often think of plastic pollution as an overwhelming problem, and we haven't made the strides necessary to solve it, but the Marine Debris Program and Foundation are proven tools that make a difference. When Congress invests in practical solutions to save our seas by empowering local leaders, scientists, fishers, and cleanup crews, it makes measurable progress. This bill protects ecosystems, jobs, and public health. Mr. Speaker, clean water and a healthy ocean support every community in this country, coastland and inland. I thank my colleagues, Representatives Radewagen and Moylan, for co-leading this legislation, and Senators Sullivan and Whitehouse for leading it in the Senate. I urge my colleagues to support Save Our Seas 2.0 amendments, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Lady from Oregon yields. The gentleman from Alabama is recognized either for more speakers or to close.
Mr. Speaker, I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves. Gentleman from South Dakota reserves. The gentleman from Alabama is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, passing this bill is an important step that we can take right now to help address the health and resilience of coastal communities like those that I represent. I support Senate Bill 216 and the Save Our Seas 2.0 Amendments Act and urge my colleagues to do the same. I yield back the remainder of my time.
Gentleman from Alabama yields. The gentleman from South Dakota is recognized to close.
Sir, I would yield myself as much time as I would consume.
Gentleman is recognized.
Ms. Bonamici said it right. This legislation will enable NOAA to continue addressing the adverse impacts of marine debris on our country's maritime economy, and it will ensure safe navigation on America's waterways. Importantly, this legislation will promote clean water and the protection of our natural resources without imposing new mandates on industry or local governments. Mr. Speaker, I urge support of the bill, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields. The question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass Senate 216? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, 2/3 being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended, the bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. For what purpose does the gentleman from South Dakota seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I move to suspend the rules and pass H.R. 4183 as amended.
The clerk will report the title of the bill.
H.R. 4183, a bill to authorize appropriations for the Federal Maritime Commission for fiscal years 2026 through 2029 and for other purposes.
Pursuant to the rule, the gentleman from South Dakota, Mr. Johnson, and the gentleman from Alabama, Mr. Figures, each will control 20 minutes. The chair recognizes a gentleman from South Dakota.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that members have 5 legislative days in which to revise and extend their remarks and to insert extraneous material into the record on this bill.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, I yield myself the time I may consume.
Gentleman is recognized.
The Chinese Communist Party does not play fair. That's why this bill, the Federal Maritime Commission Reauthorization Act, is so important. I suspect we all know that ocean-linked supply chains are critical to the economic competitiveness of the United States. Think about all the important materials we import into this country, and then think about all the important materials we export. Even just for relatively small South Dakota, sir, we export $7 billion of manufactured goods and agricultural goods to the rest of the world every single year. That's almost $8,000 a year for every single South Dakotan. Clearly, this maritime trade is important. Now, because the Chinese Communist Party doesn't play fair, we need a focused and effective cop on the beat. We need someone who will be focused on the anti-competitive behavior from the Chinese Communist Party and others. The 5 largest ocean carriers and their coalitions, sir, they control 80 or 85% of the ocean carrier business. We want to make sure that anti-competitive behavior does not take place. This legislation has at least a couple of major thrusts that are going to make that so. First, it authorizes the fiscal years 26 and 27 appropriations for the SMC at the levels that are necessary to maintain the integrity of the marketplace through monitoring, enforcement, and proper adjudication. Secondly, it also provides the new authorities and direction that the FMC needs to be a vigilant protector for our American shippers so that they can be a more informed regulator, so they can be a more effective guardian against the abuses by the Chinese Communist Party and their partners. Now, of course, Mr. Speaker, this all makes sense. It's very commonsensical. It's all very policy-focused. And that's why I'm happy to report that it was a strongly bipartisan piece of legislation throughout its journey through the committee. This is exactly what our country should be doing at this time. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I reserve.
Gentleman from South Dakota reserves. The gentleman from Alabama is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield myself as much time as I may consume.
Gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I too rise in support of H.R. 4183, the Federal Maritime Commission Reauthorization Act of 2025, as amended. This bill updates and strengthens the authorities of the Federal Maritime Commission, or FMC, an agency that plays a critical role in ensuring an efficient, competitive, and economical maritime shipping system. And as my colleague from South Dakota indicated, it ensures that we have the resources necessary to level the playing field. The past several years have shown how essential it is to safeguard our shipping. Disruptions in global shipping, port congestion, and fluctuating freight rates have created serious challenges for American businesses and consumers alike. This legislation authorizes funding for the Federal Maritime Commission for fiscal years 2026 as well as 2027, ensuring that the agency has the consistent resources it needs over the next several years to continue its core oversight and enforcement work. The bill strengthens FMC's ability to address anti-competitive behavior, which is vitally necessary throughout the shipping industry. It also authorizes the FMC to investigate complaints against shipping exchanges concerning market manipulation and other anti-competitive practices. The bill creates a National Port Advisory Committee and a National Ocean Carrier Advisory Committee, which will provide critical informed insight to ensure a more fair and efficient international ocean freight system. I support this legislation, and I thank my colleague from South Dakota, Congressman Johnson, as well as the Democratic co-sponsors of this bill, and I ask that my colleagues support it. Thank you, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves. The gentleman from South Dakota is recognized.
I'm prepared to close, sir. I reserve.
Gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Alabama is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, this is an important piece of legislation that will strengthen our Federal Maritime Commission and ensure we have a competitive, effective, and efficient maritime transportation system. I support H.R. 4183 as introduced by my colleague from South Dakota, as amended, and urge my colleagues to do the same. Thank you, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman from Alabama yields back. Gentleman from South Dakota is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, whether they realize it or not, every single American benefits from having a competitive maritime marketplace. For that to be the case, you have to have a cop on the beat that understands the job, is focused on anti-competitive behavior, and is driven to make sure that the free market works in the maritime space. This bill pushes forward all of those goals, and with that, I would urge support of this bill and yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields back. The question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass the bill H.R. 4183 as amended? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, 2/3 being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended, the bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. Without objection, the title is amended. Thank you. For what purpose does the gentleman from South Dakota seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I move to suspend the rules and pass H.R. 3962 as amended.
The clerk will report the title of the bill.
Union Calendar Number 348, H.R. 3962, a bill to amend the Federal Water Pollution Control Act to reauthorize the National Estuary Program and for other purposes.
Pursuant to the rule, the gentleman from South Dakota, Mr. Johnson, and the gentleman from Alabama, Mr. Figures, each will control 20 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from South Dakota.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that members have 5 legislative days in which to revise and extend their remarks and insert other extraneous material into the record on this bill.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, I yield myself the time I may consume.
The gentleman from South Dakota recognized.
H.R. 3962, as amended, reauthorizes EPA's National Estuary Program until 2031. The NEP was created by Congress in 1987 as a non-regulatory program to deliver cost-shared grant money to local communities to improve water quality in coastal areas. The NEP is a clear success story, demonstrating that when Washington empowers local experts to lead in the areas they know best, the outcomes are stronger. For every federal dollar invested, NEP estuaries leverage an additional $17 from other sources. This approach has improved water quality in estuaries nationwide without imposing new regulations. This program was last reauthorized by President Trump, and I commend my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, particularly the diligent and hardworking Mr. Figures as lead sponsor, for their work on this bill, and I urge support. H.R. 3962, as amended, also adds the Mississippi Sound to the list for priority consideration of selection by the EPA for inclusion in the NEP. This bill, as amended, was favorably reported out of committee, T&I, by a vote of 57 yeas to 2 nays on September 17, 2025. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I urge support of the legislation, and I reserve.
The gentleman from South Dakota reserves. The gentleman from Alabama is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I yield myself such time as I may consume.
Gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in support of H.R. 3962 as amended, the Enhancing Science Treatment and Upkeep of America's Resilient and Important Estuarian Systems Act, also more simply known as the Estuaries Act. I am proud to be the lead on this bipartisan bill. I would like to thank the co-chairs of the Estuary Caucus, Ranking Member Rick Larson, as well as Representatives Bonamici, Herodopoulos, and Mast, all of whom are original co-sponsors of this bill. The National Estuaries Program, or NEP, is an important resource for supporting locally led efforts to restore and protect the health of our coastal estuaries nationwide. This bill reauthorizes the NEP for 5 years and adds the Mississippi Sound to the list of estuaries for priority consideration. Reauthorization ensures continued federal support for this critical program, which has protected vital habitats, improved water quality, and fostered regional resilience since its creation in 1987. Protecting and restoring Mobile Bay, which is in the heart of my district, is essential to Alabama's environment, flood protection, and seafaring economy as well. Mobile Bay is now home to the deepest port in the Gulf, and so protecting its surrounding estuaries is critical not just to our local economy, but to our regional and national economy as well. I want to take a moment to recognize Roberta Swan, who has led the Mobile Bay National Estuary Program since 2009 and is calling it a career at the end of this year. Ranking Member Larson and I had the privilege of meeting with her in Mobile this past August, and her dedication to building partnerships and advancing science-based solutions is a big reason the program has been so successful in Mobile. It could not be more fitting that in the same year in which she celebrates 16 years of leadership and her retirement, that her congressman has the honor of leading this reauthorization and advancing it through the House of Representatives here today. And this year, the Association of National Estuary Programs fall meeting was held in Mobile, which is my hometown. A powerful reminder of the Bay's national significance and of how this program brings people together to share solutions across the country. This program funds partnerships between the EPA, states, local governments, and community stakeholders. It is very successful in leveraging not just federal dollars, but on average, the local NEPs raise an additional $17 for every $1 in federal funding, as my colleague Representative Johnson also noted. These non-federal dollars come through in-kind, local, state, and private sources, which are utilized by the local program leaders in accordance with their comprehensive conservation and management plans. The NEP allows the locals to lead and address the water quality issues because they know best. Projects carried out using NEP funds cover a wide range of possibilities, but always keep the locals in the driver's seat. They may include protecting shoreline habitats, increasing the ecological integrity of estuaries, or building coastal resilience. Projects also may aim to improve water quality or encourage community access to coastal ecosystems. In other instances, funds may support estuaries in a broader scope, such as supporting adjacent land acquisitions or upgrading nearby wastewater or stormwater infrastructure. Regardless, these decisions are made locally and based on the specific NEP program and its unique location and specific needs. Currently, there are 28 active NEP initiatives nationwide. This includes all corners of the country, from the Puget Sound, Washington, to Santa Monica Bay, California, and my home in Mobile, Alabama, all the way up to Casco Bay in Maine. I will always champion efforts like the National Estuary Program, which protect and restore our critical natural resources while utilizing local knowledge and ensuring the efficient use of federal funds. This is a program that is working. It is popular, and it deserves our support. I urge passage of the Estuaries Act as amended and ask all my colleagues to do the same. I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman from Alabama reserves. The gentleman from South Dakota is recognized.
Sir, I'm prepared to close, and I would reserve.
Gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Alabama.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to yield 4 minutes to the representative from Oregon, Mrs. Bonamici.
The lady from Oregon is recognized for 4 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Representative Figures, for yielding. I rise today in support of H.R. 3962, the Enhancing Science, Treatment, and Upkeep of America's Resilient and Important Estuarian Systems Act, or the Estuaries Act. Estuaries rank among the most productive ecosystems in the country, where freshwater meets saltwater, and entire communities benefit from that key meeting point. Families depend on estuaries for clean water. Fishers depend on them for healthy stocks. Small businesses depend on them for tourism, recreation, and the natural beauty that draws people to our coasts. When estuaries thrive, local communities thrive. The National Estuary Program makes that possible. For more than 3 decades, NEP partnerships have restored wetlands, improved water quality, reduced toxic pollutants, strengthened fish habitat, and built natural buffers that protect homes and businesses from flooding and storm surge. These partnerships unite scientists, local governments, tribal nations, fishers and anglers, farmers, and community leaders around a shared plan, and those plans deliver results. In Tillamook Bay in Oregon, and the district I'm honored to represent, the NEP helped restore hundreds of acres of tidal wetland, which improved salmon runs, protected dairy farms from flooding, and created new recreational corridors. On the Gulf Coast, NEP projects rebuilt marshes that shield frontline communities from hurricanes, and in New England, estuary programs helped revive shellfish beds that sustain entire working waterfronts. This bill continues the NEP's successful legacy. The Estuaries Act reauthorizes competitive grants through 2031, so every estuary of national significance can implement science-driven conservation, respond to emerging threats, and support long-term economic resilience. This bill upholds a simple principle. When we give local experts the tools they need, they protect the ecosystems that protect us. This legislation reflects a strong bipartisan, bicameral commitment to support these critical ecosystems and recognize their significance. I thank Representative Figures for leading this effort. Thank you as well to Representative Johnson for his support, and also thank my fellow co-chairs of the Bipartisan Estuary Caucus for their partnership, Representatives Herodopoulos, Mass, and Ranking Member Larson. Together, we can continue decades of success in estuary restoration and resilience. I encourage all of my colleagues to support the Estuaries Act, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The lady yields. The gentleman from Alabama is recognized to either for speakers or for closing.
Mr. Speaker, I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves. Gentleman from South Dakota reserves. Gentleman from Alabama.
Mr. Speaker, to date, the National Estuary Program has restored more than 2.5 million acres of coastal habitat nationwide. The 28 program, soon to be 29 with the addition of the Mississippi Sound and partnerships, will work hard to address challenges we are all familiar with, like harmful algal blooms, coastal erosion, and runoff pollution. Keeping our estuaries healthy means keeping our coastal communities strong. Estuaries protect these communities from flooding, store clean water, support commercial fish habitats, and provide recreational opportunities. Let's keep working together to restore and protect these essential ecosystems. Reauthorizing the National Estuary Program will allow us to do just that. I support H.R. 3962, the Estuaries Act, as amended, and urge my colleagues to do the same. I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman from Alabama yields back. The gentleman from South Dakota is recognized.
Sir, I'd yield myself the time I would consume.
Without objection.
So I think, Mr. Speaker, the American people can be forgiven if they're watching cable news and they assume that the only thing we do around here is fight. But I think the last three bills on the floor are a good example that indeed that is not the case. Now, let's be honest, none of these bills have been silver bullets slaying the biggest policy challenges facing our nation, but they are real attempts at governing. The Save Our Seas Act, FMC reauthorization, and the Estuaries Act, are attempts by serious legislators, people like Mr. Mast, Mr. Herodopoulos, Ms. Bonamici, Mr. Larson, Mr. Figures, to address real problems facing our country. And indeed, this bill is a bipartisan attempt to reauthorize the long-standing non-regulatory EPA grant program that does empower locals to solve these problems far more powerfully than if we just had the experts in D.C. do it. This is a good bill. It is the continuation of a theme on the floor today of serious legislators doing serious work. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I urge support of this bill, and I would yield the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields. The question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass the bill H.R. 3962 as amended? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, 2/3 being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended. The bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.